validation, now I validate myself. Building inner strength, putting doubt up on the shelf. No more unnecessary drama, no more wasted time. Climbing higher constantly, making my own climb. Standing on higher ground, where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds. Raising the bar, breaking ground. My network is my net worth. Choose your company wise. Surround yourself with eagles, not with sheep in disguise. Every interaction is a reflection of my brand. Quality over quantity, that's my personal command. Standing on higher ground, where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds. Raising the bar, breaking ground. Whoa. I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision. Cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield. To mediocrity and chaos, I will never yield. I'm manifesting my vision, cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield. To mediocrity and chaos, I will never yield. Standing on higher ground, where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds. Raising the bar, breaking ground. I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision. Cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield. To mediocrity and chaos, I will never yield.
How you doing, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to This and That. I am your host, Xander, where we're talking about this, that, and everything in between. I appreciate you guys joining us on this fine Tuesday evening. Walking into 2025 with a good head on our shoulders. We were just talking about business and finance yesterday, and now we're about to start talking about budgeting, because yesterday we were talking about making money while we travel. Today we're talking about budgeting so that we can afford to travel. Make sure that you guys like and subscribe. Also, if you guys are interested in jumping into the live, you can click that link in the comment section, approve the mic, approve the camera, and be on the show in real time. Special shout out to those of you that are watching me on Twitch and or Twitter. Omni81, Red Void, Liberty Twitcher, Silly Emma, AJ, I think Jackson, Jeff, Max the Poser, Reese. Special shout out to you guys for showing us a lot of love over the months, over the year. We really appreciate you, as we are on our year 2 of the podcast. Still a small podcast, a little over 20,000 followers. So, you know, we're trying to make it. Either way, want to make sure that you guys brace yourselves, because I'm about to walk us through a very in-depth challenge of breaking free from money worries, so that we'll be able to get out there and invest. These budget strategy tips are going to be able to help you guys focus on the ultimate prize. I'm going to be able to provide you with some common knowledge stuff that you may not have thought about before, but then I'm also going to give you guys some more in-depth information on how to budget, how to strategize, and how to plan. A lot of times on this podcast, we give you common knowledge that actually is just not utilized. And we want to make sure that you are aware of these things, because common knowledge isn't so common these days, because very few of us actually put forth the effort to go and look into these things. So by seeing and hearing it on this podcast, you should be able to take the information that you get from me and go somewhere else and try to do your research, cross-check everything I tell you, because I can reassure you that if you were to take the time and go and ask the Google lady anything that I've told you on this podcast, I can guarantee you that she'll tell you that everything I'm telling you is legit. So make sure that as you guys are rolling in, you like and subscribe as we get started with helping you guys with these budgeting strategy tips that can help you with not only saving and investing, but also being able to make money while you travel. So since we understand that money worries are a very constant stressor that haunts many of us, it always lurking in the background of everyone's mind, making it hard to sleep and sometimes even hard to focus and hard to enjoy life, even when you're in a situation where you're supposed to be having you a fantastic time. But remember, I told you guys that I was going to tell you that there is a way to break free from this, and you'll be able to get away from this cycle, which will give you less financial anxiety. So I'm excited to share with you guys some unusual tricks, very unorthodox ways that seem pretty simple, but they're actually very difficult to master. It's easy to do, hard to master. The reason why it's hard to master, we have impulse control that we have to work on in ourselves. But doing this will help you get exactly what you're trying to aim for with your business and finance and investment plans and strategies. Now, remember, money worries are more than just a pesky problem. They're serious threats to our well-being. And in modern 2024 times, we have learned that 34% of Gen Zs are actually having breakups in their relationships due to fights over financial stability. We have the expectation of approximately 75% of females that believe that the man should be capable of being a provider, and 50% of the population that believes that men should be the financial provider. So fellas, you got to understand that social expectations, gender role expectations, we are supposed to be able to have enough money to take care of ourselves and take care of other people. So we are constantly stressed about money, and it affects every area of our lives. It affects the mindset of a man more than it affects the mindset of a woman, because women might strive for financial success for their own personal expectations, but they are not expected to be financially successful. They just have the drive and willpower to be financially successful, and have in Western cultures a lot of laws and affirmative action structures that aid women in their financial success, whereas minority men are no longer receiving that, and non-minority men never had that. If they did not inherit it, they just didn't have it. You got to find another way. So we become anxious, irritable, and withdrawn. And you'll see that a lot when we have our Sunday night members only shows that has been opened up to the public recently, where men are saying that they don't feel comfortable with getting on those dating platforms because they're not together. Whether they've got health problems, they have financial problems, they've got a lot of family problems where they have to take care of a relative or something to that effect. A man that has more financial burdens than he has free time typically withdraws himself from the dating pool, because he does not have the ability to openly put himself on the market for this relationship and financially invest in this relationship. And there is also that subconscious concern that if any event that the person that he is trying to date comes to find out that he is financially challenged or financially stressed, that she may withdraw before she even gains the loyalty to pitch in on his financial woes. Completely different structure than women, because regardless of whether or not she's financially stable, if he's not bringing enough resources to the table, some women are not interested in him, and those women that would be interested in a man, even if he did not have the extra financial capital, they're not still willing to support a man when she has 90% or more of her income going towards her own personal standard of living. So if I can't take care of two of us, I can take care of myself, and that I can do battle by myself mentality from waiting to exhale is what a lot of the feminist women are living off of, as opposed to the partnership mentality. So you have to understand that our relationships suffer along with our work suffering, and our health will also suffer, because stress actually can kill you. Stress can cause you to have large quantities of health issues. It can lead to organ failure, fatigue, dehydration, insomnia. Uh, uh, it can lead to fibromyalgia, which can lead to uncontrollable muscle spasms in your body. It could really tear you down. And worst part, it's a vicious cycle that's hard to escape. The more we worry about more money, the more we spend. Because take people who are stressed out about having financial problems. They stress out about being too broke. They stress out about having more bills than they have income. And what do? They go out and they try to self-medicate. So they drink away their problems, which costs more money, which means they have less money to spend to pull themselves out of that problem. They may choose to smoke or other recreational activities that cost money, which comes out of their money. So while you don't have enough money to make ends meet, you're spending the money that you don't have to deal with the stress of the fact that you don't have enough money, which actually puts you in a deeper hole over time. And that means that the more you go into debt, the more you worry about it. And that's going to mean that since the more you worry about, the more money you're going to spend to self-medicate. It's going to be a vicious cycle. And since it's a never-ending spiral that's draining our energy and creativity and happiness, it keeps us in a hole. But why do we let this money control our lives? It is because we've been taught to believe that money is scarce, that we'll never have enough. Or is it because we are stuck in this cycle, consumerism, and that consumerism is constantly being told that we need the latest gadget, the trendiest clothes, and the fanciest car. Whatever the reason, it's time to break free from these limitations and start thinking differently about money. For many of us, money worries are a constant companion, always lurking in the shadows, waiting to pounce on our insecurities and fears. We worry about not being able to pay the bills, about not having enough savings, about not being able to afford the things that we want. We worry about the future, about retirement, about our children's education. A lot of us worry about setting up a inheritance of some sort for our kids and our grandkids. Some of us just worry about making ends meet because we just don't have enough money to cover all the bills. And while we're worrying about everything, and yet we do nothing to change that situation, we wonder why we stay stuck. So, what can we do to break free from these money worries? It is possible to live a life of financial freedom where money is no longer a source of stress and anxiety. And today, I'm going to share with you some of the unusual tricks that can help you, the way it has been helping me, to do just that. Understandably, one of the unusual tricks is to practice gratitude. Yep, you heard that right. Gratitude. We focus on what we're thankful for rather than what we lack. And that will shift our mindset. We start to see the abundance in our lives rather than the scarcity. Because a lot of the times, if you think about it like this, a man that is born in a holding cell, lives his entire life in the holding cell, and dies in the holding cell, never misses anything that he's never had. A man that is born with a wide open field that has abundance of resources, then those resources are taken from him, and now he's placed in that holding cell, can now miss the things he no longer has. An individual that does not have the longing for what they don't have, as opposed to the people who have a lot like jealousy. You wish that you had what other people have. if there's nothing to compare, you don't really have the ability to recognize desire. Do you realize that happiness is only defined by misery? A good day is only defined by a bad day. Why? Because you can't say that you're up if you've never been down, and you can't say that you've down if you've never been up. If there's no change in your life, it's just every day is neutral. But when one day is comparably better or worse than another day, you can say that one day was a bad day and the other day was a good day. Your standard of living can be comparably better or worse than somebody else's standard of living, which also means that you're not as well off as you could be in comparison to somebody else. And likewise, you're more well off than what you could be in comparison to somebody else. But if you just appreciate the things that you have rather than constantly desiring more or comparing your personal lifestyle to somebody else's lifestyle, which is referred to as keeping up with the Joneses, then you would not be as devastated about the need to go and expel your expenses on frivolous spending. And when we do that, our relationships with money changes. We start to see money as a tool rather than a source of stress. Another unusual trick is to use visualization techniques. So if you close your eyes and imagine yourself living a life of financial freedom, imagine having enough money to pursue your passions, to travel and enjoy life the way we were talking about yesterday. Imagine the feeling of security, of stability, of freedom. When we visualize ourselves in a different reality, our minds start to believe it's possible. And when our minds believe it's possible, we start to take action towards making it a reality. You understand that self-fulfilling prophecies, when you believe that there is no hope other than failure, you ascribe to failure. You literally do things that will cause you to fail because you don't believe that you will succeed. Changing your mindset, always looking for another way, always aiming for a higher level of success. Failure might come where you don't meet your own personal expectations. But if you look back at where you started and look at where you are now, you may come to find out that you've come a heck of a lot further than what you thought you were going to. And that is an area of success, the levels of gratitude, where you recognize that you have achieved something. Now that you've fallen off the horse, it's time to get back up, dust yourself off, and get back out there, because if you can go this far, you can go even further. The third unusual trick is to practice mindful spending. And when we're mindful of spending habits, we start to see where our money is going. We start to identify areas where we can cut back, where we can save, where we can invest. And we start to make conscious decisions about our money rather than letting it control us. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about trying to establish more mindful spending. And this actually works in every country. So if you're watching us from Romania, special shout out to Romania. If you're watching us from Brazil, special shout out to Brazil. Special shout out to Russia, because I mean, heck, he got 20% of the platforms watching us in Russia. So you guys are doing something good over there. Special shout out to the Vietnam and the Philippines. This works everywhere. If you established a budget, and it's going to be hard to do, to get it this low, but I'm going to talk about ways to start small and work your way big. Establish a budget with only 20% of your income required to maintain your standard of living. Now, in order for you to get to 20%, you're going to have to make a lot of changes. But just understand, if this is the long-term goal, that you want to establish a budget that 20% of the money that you bring into your household after taxes is utilized for your standard of living. The other 80% would be utilized towards investing into your future. That particular type of platform is the most successful platform that you have, with the most immediate results. If you're making $100,000 a year and you're living off of $20,000 of it, $80,000 a year going into any type of investment platform turns over $1 million a heck of a lot faster than $10,000 a year. Just saying. Now, while this is going to require careful planning and prioritizations, here's a structure approach that you can use that will help you manage your finances effectively. The first thing we're going to do is you're going to determine your total monthly income after taxes. And this is the amount you will base your budget on. You want to then list all the necessary expenses that must be paid in each month, such as the rent or the mortgage, utilities such as water, electric, if you have gas, because some places have gas, if you need internet. Some people don't need internet. Some people can utilize the hotspot on their cell phone. But if you need internet to run laptops or the computers or TVs or something like that in the house, any necessary internet, groceries, these are priorities. Transportation to get to and from work, such as the gas for the vehicles, public transportation, such as cabs and Ubers and such, and insurances. If you have any insurances, health insurance, car insurance, life insurance policies, these are the core expenses that must be paid on a regular basis. That's going to be the fundamental portion of your 20%. The rest of your 20% is going to be shavable, where you're going to consider these discretionary spending items that can be adjusted, which means you can cut them out of your budget, such as dining out, wasting your time on dates with people that you don't even care about, entertainment, subscriptions. You've already got Netflix. Netflix is starting to replace the local cable channels because most of the things that you want to watch, such as football and WWE, is now being played on Netflix. You're almost not needing HBO. If you've got 5 or 7 different subscriptions to 5 or different sources of entertainment, like Hulu Plus, Amazon Prime, you also got Netflix, Disney Plus, if you could think of 5 or 6 other, you could probably do away with 5 or 7 of them, because if you have that much time to watch TV, you have that much time to go and make money doing something else, be productive. So you could really terminate a lot of your subscriptions. In addition to that, everybody that has Amazon Prime, I'm not telling you that Amazon Prime is a waste of money, but Amazon Prime is only effective if you're buying that much stuff that requires free shipping. So if you're starting to buy less stuff, you're not shipping as much stuff. And if you're not shipping as much stuff, the cost of buying on Amazon is not going to offset the profit that you're saving on free shipping, free next day delivery. You're paying a monthly premium for the convenience of next day delivery on 100% of the products that you buy. But if you're buying less stuff because you're being more fiscally responsible, you're not shipping as much stuff, your Amazon Prime membership stops being valuable. Likewise, if you shop from Temu instead of shopping from Amazon Prime, 90% of the things that you're buying off of Amazon and Walmart.com, you can probably find similar items on Temu and still get it shipped free. And it be a third of the price that you found the same item on Amazon. Something for $75 on Amazon, you might find on Temu for 10. It's just, if you're going to spend, you're going to spend more appropriately. But if your fixed expenses exceed the available budget after allocating for savings, you want to consider these adjustments. You want to reduce spending on non-essential items. So that dining out and entertainment, you want to cut that stuff out. And when you're cutting these things out, I'm not saying that you can't have fun ever. But instead of spending $200 a weekend to go out and have a good time, you could probably reduce that to like $40 a weekend. You should probably rationalize it to where you're doing like $60 a month worth of entertainment. I've got family members right now that could take $100 out of their income and That's all the extra money they need for frivolous spending for the entire month, which means that they're ultimately wasting about $1,200 a year out of their entire income. That's not nearly as bad as almost $1,000 a month. Think about that. Now, you want to look for ways to lower fixed expenses by negotiating bills. And when I say negotiating bills, you as the head of household must negotiate with your dependents about what stuff you can cut out. You don't just go around making changes. If you've got cable in your house and you want to do away with cable and save money, because think about cable's almost $300 a month these days. But if you turn off your cable and rely on Netflix and other such platforms, you might be able to save $200 or $300 on your cable bill, because Netflix right now is a little under $30 a month for a family plan, 4 to 7 devices, and your cable company like Cox Cable right now is I think like $240. So you could really switch off of Cox and do free television apps, and then also stick to your Netflix, and you'd be able to get most of the entertainment quality that you're looking for, and actually save $200 on your TV bill. Stuff like, if everybody has individual cell phone plans and each person is paying $70 a month, if you all consolidate onto a family plan where a lot of those extra lines are going to be prorated. So instead of each person paying $70 a phone, you have a group of people where one person's phone is $70 and every other phone after that is $30. And if you guys are pooling your money together, the household income will be higher, but the expenses would be lower. You have to weigh the cost of $10 to $20 a trip, $40 a trip with the Uber in one direction versus carpooling, stuff to that effect, consolidating car insurances and other things. This is negotiating the bills. Also, sometimes switching providers for better rates can also help. You want to focus on the essential expenses first before considering discretionary spending. So you want to use also budgeting tools or apps to monitor your spending against your budget, regularly reviewing and adjusting your budget as needed based on your actual expenses. There's also this thing that this is like an advanced way to budget, because like 20% of your expenses and then 80% is investment. That's like elite pro status. That's like Jedi investment savings budgeting. But advanced pro status, you can also use the 50-30-20 rule. And this can be the kind of guide that helps you structure your budget more effectively, even if you're focusing on just 20% allocating for savings, where you would have 50% going on your core bills, 30% going towards debt, and 20% that is going towards investments. And when you're looking at 20% going towards your investment, this portion should focus on solely savings and investments. Now, here's how you're going to allocate that. You're going to aim to at least 3 times or 3 months worth of monthly bills. And that's what you're aiming for with your savings. 3 to 6 months worth of monthly expenses. Why is that? Between 2019 and 2021, when we had the COVID situation where the entire world was shut down for almost a year, most of us had eventually lost our job for at least 6 months. And the fact is that if you have 6 months, 6 to 12 months worth of savings that you liquidatable, which means that you can literally start pulling money out of an account somewhere without having to wait 2 to 3 weeks, and you don't have to deal with any penalties, that capital would cover your standard of living for 3 to 6 months or up to a year. That is what you want to have in your savings, or any type of accessible investment platform where you can pull those assets out when you're in a financial emergency where you don't have the ability to cover the cost of that issue. Now, if you contribute to retirement accounts like IRAs or 401ks, that also gives you the ability to have either tax exempt or tax deferred investment platforms, where after you're 65, 70 years old and you can't work anymore, you start getting dividends back from some of these retirement accounts. If you pay down high interest debt beyond the minimum payments, instead of just paying the bare minimum, you've got a credit card and they want you to pay $50 a month, but you know they're charging you 29% interest. Instead of paying the $50 a month, pay $150 a month. You want to pay more towards the principal, because that $50 a month, majority of it is going towards just interest. And you want to make sure that you're paying down high interest debt first, more so than paying down low interest debt. If you find that sticking to a strict budget is challenging, consider adopting a more flexible approach, such as the 60-30-10 rule, which is pretty much going to be the same platform that allows for more room if needed, which will allow you to still prioritize your savings, where eliminating 60% of your expenses while still living comfortably is still an achievable goal with the strategic planning and adjustments that I'm about to start talking to you about right now. So here's how you approach this challenge. The 60% solution, which is developed by Richard Jenkins, suggests that you should aim to keep your committed expenses, which is essential and non-essential, within 60% of your income. This method emphasizes financial security and control over your spending. And here are some actionable strategies to reduce your expenses significantly. When you have household costs, you want to consider downsizing or moving to a less expensive area. This way, the cost of the rent, if you're living in an apartment complex that charges extra fees for the utilities because it's on a grid where you're sharing the cost of the utilities with all of the other members of the property. These things are issues that you could avoid by moving to a less expensive area. I have a buddy that actually has his utilities included in, at least the water is included in the cost of the rent. Problem is when the landlord has to pay more money on the water bill, the landlord takes that water out of the tenant. Even if the tenant didn't use the water, fact is, he raises the rent because the property is consuming more water. Another thing that you can do is get a roommate to share the cost. So no, regardless of how much space you have in your property, if you have extra rooms, if you have extra land, you can always rent out space or share the total household cost with extra incomes in the same house. You can also, if you've got teenage children or young adult children that are 18 to 25 and they haven't moved out yet, but they're starting to work, you can divide the household income amongst a number of incomes in the house, where instead of you being the breadwinner, you're the only person paying for all the bills, you can actually share the cost of living with the other people that live in the house, which reduces the financial strain on you, where you can then take a lot more of that money and put it towards financial emergencies, especially if you're going to be the person that everybody's going to run to when they have a financial emergency. You want to negotiate rent or offer to do maintenance in exchange for a lower rent. What does that mean? You get to a place where the landlord primarily operates the property as opposed to a maintenance facility. And then if repairs are needed on the unit, you can accept the apartment as is, or you can accept the house as is and just let the landlord know that you'll take care of some of these things. And as a result, the landlord will charge you less rent. When things break, if you fix it, you give the landlord the rent, and then you give the landlord a receipt that shows that you fixed some stuff. The landlord is going to essentially, one, not raise the rent on you, and two, potentially prorate some of your rent, where you're going to get a little less rent because you're doing the necessary maintenance on a property instead of taking money out of his or her pocket to do the rent. You want to reduce electricity usage by using energy efficient appliances, energy efficient light bulbs, and adjusting the thermostat settings to appropriate levels, not extreme levels. If anybody who knows about central air and heat, if you can manage to get your light bill down to $75 a month, you're doing something. For those of you that have combined central air and heat and gas, if you can get the combined usage of your central air and heat and gas to a total of $90 between your light bill and your gas bill together, you're doing something. You want to cut down on water usage through shorter showers, fixing leaks, not refilling the pool on a regular basis, not leaving water running while you're standing there staring at your face in the mirror. Because you could literally, I know a lot of us like to wash our face and everything like that by just turning on the faucet and letting it run and splashing water on our face and going through the motions. But you could save a lot of money on your water bill by plugging the sink, filling it up with water, and then just doing what you got to do while you're there, and then let that water out. And instead of having a large quantity of water just going down a drain, costing you money, you could actually be saving a lot of that money on using less water. Um, Also, a lot of us use dishwashers. Dishwashers cost more money on water. So does washing machines. So if you budget usage of that, then you could actually save more money on your water bill, because you're washing larger quantities of clothes less often, you're washing larger quantities of dishes less often, or you're going through the motions of hand washing the dishes as needed while using the stagnant water in the sink, as opposed to just constantly running water for 30-45 minutes. Food expenses is another thing that you guys can work on. If you plan meals and cook at the house instead of dining out, a lot of times you can find that can be a lot cheaper. I've done a show, a 2-hour show actually, where I talked to you guys about how you could find at $5 or less per plate the type of stuff that you could eat at the house that is more filling than the $20 a person at the fast food restaurants, or $150 a plate per person at the high end restaurants, where you could eat more food for less money, be full, feed the whole family, and potentially maintain a smaller food budget. Also, buying in bulk and using coupons to save on groceries. Not a lot of us think about this. If you are buying larger, like Costco, Sam's Club, there's a lot of different places, BJ's in the East Coast, there's a lot of different places that allows you to buy in bulk, where your unit price is a lot cheaper. Matter of fact, when you think about this, go to the grocery store and actually, instead of just looking at the price of the item, or instead of just buying it by the brand, literally look at that little number on either the top right or top left corner is the unit price. And the unit price is either going to be per ounce, per pound, per gram, or per individual serving size. Like, for example, if you've got 32 bottles of water, it's one bottle per water. If it's $1.20 or 67 cents per bottle of water and 32 bottles of water, that's going to be the total price of the items. If you're comparing prices with products, you're going to find the product, regardless of the quantity size, you're going to find the product with the lowest unit price, because a lot of times they have certain products that may look cheaper in bulk, but it's not cheaper. For example, ramen noodles. I know a lot of y'all like ramen noodles, and ramen noodles are actually 30 cents a bag, but they're 31 cents a bag if you get them in a 12 pack. You're paying for the box. That extra 1 cent per bag for 12 bag, that extra 12 cents that you're paying for the 12 pack versus the 12 cents left that you're going to pay for by grabbing 12 individual ones, is you're paying for the packaging. So look at that unit price and then buy different, because every penny counts. Now, you want to avoid impulse purchases by shopping with a list. And when you're shopping with a list, you're not just saying, "Oh, I'm going to buy these toys, these gifts, this stuff, this frivolous things that you're not going to really use. You just want it because it looks cool." You have to look at the fact that when you are making a list, you're making a list of necessities. And necessities is not something that you desire so much that you will beat somebody up in a Thanksgiving sale to get it. Necessities are like the things that you can't live without, meaning that if you don't have food, you'll die. If you don't have medication, you might not survive. That type of necessity. Then you want to think about transportation. The people in New York got it under wraps. If you use public transportation or carpooling whenever possible, you can reasonably reduce the cost of transportation, especially when you compare the price of car insurance versus the amount of times that you drive, the cost of gas versus the amount of times that you got to leave the house and go somewhere. You might find it cheaper to uh, utilize public transportation if they have free public transportation or affordable public transportation, because a $100 bus pass, it was $65 a month, but I know it's gone up quite a few times since the last time I've seen it. But when it was $65 a month for a bus pass, that's way cheaper than anybody's car insurance plus vehicle maintenance plus gas. So you have to think about things like this. Consider biking if you're physically capable of doing it, or walking short trips to save on gas. So instead of getting up at like 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning and just running around the neighborhood and then getting in the car and driving somewhere, you could get up in the morning and jog yourself to the grocery store, go shopping, and then jog back with the stuff in a backpack or something, and save on gas, save on certain trips. Now, when we talked about these subscriptions and memberships, you want to review all of them, including the streaming services, including the gym memberships, including the car wash memberships. You want to look at everything, and then you want to cancel those things that you don't regularly use. When you're leaning towards entertainment, you want to look for something that's either free or low cost to the community, and you want to look at something that's like events that you can attend in the neighborhood instead of paying for entertainment options. And you want to try to find something that's local so that you're not exhausting a lot of capital to commute there. Also, I know that those of you that are in Florida, especially in downtown Tampa, you guys have to spend a lot of money for parking. Sometimes, if you park further away from the event and then walk there, you can potentially save money on parking. For those of you that are in California going to some of those car meets, if you park several blocks away from the car meet, you're less likely to get your car impounded when they break up the car meet and seize everybody's vehicles. Now, focus on differentiating between essential needs and discretionary wants. Allocate funds primarily for necessities while minimizing spending on non-essential items. While cutting expenses is crucial, consider ways to increase your income. So take on freelance work or part-time jobs that can be done remotely. We talked about that yesterday. All of the many ways that you could make a little extra money on the side without having to exhaust yourself. Sell used items around the house for extra cash. But you also want to make sure, oh, you can also rent out space. If you've got like a garage, if you've got extra storage space and extra car parts somewhere, you can rent out space on your property that you're not using to store other people's stuff so that you can make a little extra money for your stuff. Regularly review your budget after you do this, and also monitor your spending habits to ensure that you stay within the desired expense limit. Adjust as necessary based on the changes in income that you are experiencing. Now, for those of you that are not capable of living under 60% of your income, because I know that there's a lot of us that's in the bottom 99% that are working check to check. And when your check is late, you got to borrow some money from Amscot in order to pay your bills. So I understand that. And if you're starting off by doing this for the first year, you can utilize a 80-20 rule or a 90-20 rule. The 80-20 rule is also known as the Pareto principle. And this is widely recognized concepts that suggest that approximately 80% of the outcome of results come from 20% of causes. And this principle can be applied across various fields, including business, economics, and personal productivity. So the rule can help with individuals to not only prioritize tasks, but also prioritize their finances by focusing 20% of their efforts that yields 80% of results. This approach encourages efficiency and better time management. Now, while the classic ratio is 80-20, the principle can manifest in other ways of distribution, including 70-30, 90-10. And we were talking about 50-50, 60-40. You can split these things up in a number of different ways. The takeaway is that a smaller number of causes often lead to a larger proportion of effects. And by applying the 80-20 rule, businesses and individuals can make informed decisions about where to allocate resources, time, and efforts for maximized impact. Unlike more detailed budget methods, the 80-20 rule does not require tracking every individual expense. Instead, it focuses on the overall allocation of income, making it easier to manage finances without getting bogged down in details. By concentrating on saving a set percentage of your income, you prioritize financial health without overcomplicating your budget. So, this budgeting method for beginners encourages a disciplined approach to saving and can help develop better financial habits over time. So, if you start with 80-20, where you start by saving 20% of your money, and then the other 80% you can waste it, you can pay bills, you can pay off back debt and work down your credit score. You can go and get you some secure credit cards or whatever it is that you want to do with that other 80%. Give it to your kids for allowances for not doing absolutely anything. Whatever you want to do, you can do that, and make sure that you continuously stack that 20%. Now, eventually you will have enough money invested that will be producing a large enough quantity of dividends that will increase your income to where you can start working yourself into other budget platforms, such as the 50-30-20 rule, where this budget rule is the popular budgeting method that suggests allocating 50% to expenses. Now, a good rule of thumb is to keep your debt to income ratio at 35% or less. And this means that no more than 35% of your gross monthly income should go towards debt payments. So lowering your DTI indicates you have more disposable income after paying debts, which is favorable for lenders such as personal loans, mortgages, and car loans. And this will aid you in your overall financial health. Financial experts recommend that essentially you can live off of an expense level that is ideally not exceeding 50% of your after taxes income. So if you aim for a debt to income ratio of 36% or less, with no more than 28% of that going towards household costs, which is 8% higher than the 20% that I was talking to you about at the beginning of the show. And keep in mind, this is going to include necessities like rent, groceries, transportation, and minimum loan payments. You would be dealing with the most ideal budgeting platform. Now, according to the data I've been able to dig up, households with incomes below $100,000 a year often report difficulties in managing expenses, particularly in times of raising costs. If your income is significantly above the threshold and you have manageable debt levels, you might consider increasing discretionary spending. Now, ensuring your income is stable and sufficient to cover current expenses comfortably, this includes understanding your net income after taxes. It is advisable to have an emergency fund that covers at least 3 to 6 months of living expenses before considering increasing household expenses. So before making significant purchases, financial planners recommend having an emergency fund that covers 6 to 12 months of living expenses, no matter what's going on. And this ensures that you won't need to dip into your savings for emergencies after your purchase. There's a 3-to-1 purchase rule that typically refers to a financial guideline or rule of thumb that suggests ensuring that your income or revenue from an investment is at least 3 times greater than the cost associated with that investment. Notice that you're going to hear that when they start analyzing, can you afford to pay rent on this property? Well, if you don't make 3 times the rent, you can't afford to stay here. You're investing on a place to live, you have to have 3 times the income. It's a rule of thumb everywhere. You start getting an aha light bulb about 45 minutes into the podcast. But this principle can apply in various contexts, including in real estate investing, business operations, and personal finance. Here's a breakdown of how this concept can be applied. So, in personal finance, the principle can guide spending decisions. For example, if you're considering a significant purchase, like a car or a house, you might want to ensure that your total income is at least 3 times the cost of that purchase to maintain financial stability. If a car costs $30,000, ideally, your annual income should be at least $90,000 to comfortably afford that purchase without straining your budget. So for those of you that are making $50,000 or $75,000 a year, if you're supposed to be making 3 times that amount, a $75,000 a year income will qualify you for a $25,000 car. A $50,000 a year income might be closer to a $15,000 car. If you're making $40,000 a year, you might want to think about getting you an $8,000 cash up front car. Pay for it with your tax refund. Do not finance a car that is under $10,000. They will charge you triple the value of the car by the time it's over. And that is a waste of money, because if you're buying a car that's valued under $10,000, where no brand new car is valued at $10,000, certified pre-owned cars aren't even valued at $10,000. So if you're buying a car at $10,000, it's used, 20 to 50,000 miles on it, and that car is going to require maintenance, extensive maintenance, more than a new car, more than a certified pre-owned car, with no extended warranty to fix stuff for free, which means that you're going to be paying out of pocket for the notes on a vehicle and paying out of pocket for the maintenance, or paying out of pocket for car shield while you're paying out of pocket for notes so that you can get reduced prices on maintenance. Either way, you're still spending a significantly larger quantity of money for a car that you could have bought cash up front. And when you can't afford to pay for it, you park it and catch the bus. And then when you get a little extra money to pay for it, you can fix it, put it back on the road. And if you park it, you can drop the insurance, turn in the license plate. And whenever you decide to go back and get that license plate, you can spend that $50 to get the license plate back so that you don't have your license suspended for having uninsured vehicles on your license. Think about these things as time goes on. Now, ensuring that income or revenue is significantly higher than costs helps mitigate financial risks and provides a buffer against unexpected expenses or downturns, especially after you've already made that big purchase and you're not able to return the purchase that you made or get a full refund on your investment. This approach promotes sustainability growth by ensuring investments that yield substantial returns are relevant to the cost. So, Miss Ma'am, if you want to buy some red bottom shoes or a Coach purse or some Louis Vuitton makeup or whatever the case may be, and the cost to get it is not in line with the budget that the household is in, you're probably not going to be spending that money on that hair and makeup and other such, because it is fiscally irresponsible to do so. By following these guidelines, individuals and businesses can maintain better financial health and avoid overextending themselves financially. And finally, one of the most powerful tricks is to reframe our thinking around money. When we see money as a source of freedom rather than a source of stress, our entire relationship with it changes. We start to see money as a tool that can help us live the life we want rather than a limitation that holds us back. But there's one trick that stands out above the rest, one trick that has the power to transform your relationship with money forever. Are you guys ready for this one? It's the power of giving. We focus on giving rather than receiving, and our mindset will shift. We start to see the abundance in our lives rather than the scarcity. Originally supposed to be the true definition of Christmas was supposed to be about giving to those who had less, as opposed to having your hand out with the expectation to receive. Now, giving doesn't mean being wasteful. Giving does not mean being wasteful. And if you're giving to your network, remember the old saying, being hood rich. When you're taking care of reasonably within your means, taking care of the neighborhood that you live in, the neighborhood that you live in will take care of you. If you see somebody who has not and you have a little extra, you can invest in that person, and then that person will have a subconscious self of indebtedness to you, to that way that person will then want to reimburse you tenfold by their own personal design. And you want to make sure that you have people in your network that reciprocate. Because if you have people in your network that just takes and says thank you, or sometimes just takes and doesn't say thank you, they're going to use you because you're generous. You don't want somebody that wants a generous person in their life. You want somebody who is looking for a partner, who is looking for an investment opportunity where they can invest in you the way you invest in them, where they can profit off of your efforts and you can profit off of their efforts, where they can invest in something that will make both of you guys money, or you can invest in something that'll make both of you guys money. But you don't want to be in a situation where you're expelling extra expenses to someone else and you're not recouping any type of compensation for that. By doing this, we start to appreciate the little things rather than constantly desiring more. And when we give, we open ourselves up to receive. This one trick has the power to break the cycle of financial anxiety, to free us from the grip of money worries. It's a simple yet powerful shift in perspective, and it's one that can change your life forever. So I encourage you to try it out to see the impact it can have on your relationship with money. Breaking free from money worries is not about making more money. It's about changing our mindset. It's about adopting uh, unusual tricks that can help us see money in a different light. It's about living a life of financial freedom where money is no longer a source of stress and anxiety. Establishing a budget with only 20% of your income requires discipline and strategy, and this strategic planning requires you to focus on essential expenses and prioritizing savings or debt repayments. And you can create a sustainable financial plan that helps you achieve your goal for long-term as well as short-term success while managing your current needs effectively. By implementing the 60% solution and strategically cutting back on expenses, you can achieve significant savings while maintaining a comfortable lifestyle, focusing on essential needs, reducing discretionary spending, and consider additional income opportunities to create a balanced financial situation that supports your goals. The 80/20 rule will serve as a valuable framework for optimizing efficiency and effectiveness in various domains. By recognizing that not all efforts yield equal results, individuals and organizations can better focus their resources on high impact areas to achieve better success. By following these guidelines, you can maintain a balanced budget that supports both your current living expenses and long-term financial goals. Adjustments may be necessary based on individual circumstances, but these percentages provide a solid foundation for managing debt and expenses effectively. Whether in real estate, business operations, or personal finance, these rules encourage prudent financial management and help ensure long term sustainability and profitability. So, I hope you enjoyed the show today, and I hope you've learned something new that you can apply to your life. Don't forget to share your own money management experiences in the comments below. And if you want to learn more about financial wellness, be sure to check out some of the other videos that we're going to be having over the rest of the week. Because as I tell you on a regular basis, we are live 7 days a week, and we are making it a point to tiptoe around that essential 10 o'clock Central Time, which is like 11 o'clock Eastern Time, 7 o'clock Pacific Time. And we are not changing our time slot based on daylight savings time. So when daylight savings time makes that shift coming soon, we're going to be at the exact same time. It's just the clock will shift for everybody in America. Just keep that in mind. Now, if you guys have any questions about some of the information that I provided you on the show, if you missed something, you can go back and rewatch the show. Or if you have any questions, you can throw them in the comments after the show or during the show. And if you've got enough detailed questions, I could probably make a show about your questions. But if not, I definitely respond to all of your questions. I have a conversation with a fella about everything under the sun over the past couple of weeks. They drop into the comments about a lot of different things. And some of the most interesting comments I piece together in our members only shows on Sunday that is currently open to the public. And we discuss some of the questions and comments that happen on the comment section. We discuss it with the fans on Sunday nights. So you could always tiptoe around and come and take a look at that. Tomorrow being Wednesday, we have a little bit more business and finance and politics style discussions for tomorrow. But Thursday through Sunday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday specifically, we do have a lot of self-improvement and relationship topics that we talk about that can help you improve your social interaction with your partner, or improve your social interactions with your society in order to improve your ability to achieve the type of partner that you're looking for, as well as self-improvement to build yourselves up to higher levels of success. Because again, high-value men have to be built. They're not born that way. High-value women are typically born that way. And then they change over time based on social interactions, and the value depreciates over time. So a man has to build himself up to be valuable. A woman has to not do anything to stay valuable. It's not fair. I understand. I completely recognize the dynamic, and from a man's perspective, I agree with you, ladies, that it shouldn't be that way. But the needs of the men are not the same as the needs of the women, and what women need are going to be in line with financial stability and security, and what men need are going to be non-tangible, which is going to be effort and companionship. And because the needs of the two genders are not the same, the two people cannot be weighted equally. So in order for a man to be valuable to a woman, he has to meet her financial expectations. And in order for a woman to be valuable to a man, she has to meet his helper expectations. So all of these things leads us to being able to work towards our financial success and work towards building the type of life that we want. Trying to have a life of travel, trying to have a life of financial freedom, stress-free, leaving wealth for our next generation, for our kids, leaving inheritance behind for our kids to benefit from. All of these things play into how we decide to do what we do. So I want to make sure that you guys like and subscribe as you pop in, and make sure that you see us tomorrow night when we start about an hour and 13 minutes ago. We're going to try to start on time. I can't make any guarantees, but if you hit that notification button on YouTube, even if you decide to watch us on Twitch or Twitter, if you hit that notification button on YouTube, as soon as the show goes live, it'll send you a push notification on your phone reminding you that the show is on. And I do believe it gives you a 30-minute heads up so that you can always get queued up. Because if you've got to reboot your laptop or reboot your computer or something like that before the show starts, you don't miss out on anything. And then you can still join in from Twitch or Twitter if you're not going to join in from YouTube. I don't care where you come from. I try my best to put this everywhere so that you guys can see us on a broad scale. And then we can all have a good time talking about every other topic under the sun. With that being said, that's all I got for you guys for tonight. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the show tonight. And I want to make sure that you guys hang out for the outro songs, because we do got a soundtrack for the podcast. A band had made that for us, Alan with alanito.music. And all of the links to all the songs are in the description down below. So make sure that you check those out after the show. Ladies, as I say every night of the week, as long as the situation doesn't make sense, I'm going to keep asking y'all to make it make sense. So ladies, please make it make sense. And fellas, I really appreciate you guys, because without y'all, wouldn't know where we'd be at. Special shout out again to Red Void, Omni81, Max Opposer, and Reese. And again, thank you guys for coming to This and That. I'm your host, Xander, where we talk about this, that, and everything in between. I'm going to see you guys tomorrow night, 10 o'clock Central Time.
Higher ground. Used to chase validation, now I validate myself. Building inner strength, putting doubt upon the shelf. No more unnecessary drama, no more wasted time. Climbing higher, constantly making my own climb. Standing on higher ground where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds, raising the bar, breaking ground. My network is my net worth. Choose your company wise. Surround yourself with eagles, not with sheep in disguise. Every interaction is a reflection of my brand. Quality over quantity, that's my personal command. I'm not landing on higher ground where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds, raising the bar, breaking ground. I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision, cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield to mediocrity and chaos. I will never I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision, cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield to mediocrity and chaos. I will never yield.